Hey, what's up guys? Thanks for riding along with me. I want to do record stores across America, but I'm going to do a little bit different take on it. I grew up on the west side of Columbus, a little bit further out than where we're going to go today. Today we're going to go through the west side of Columbus into the Hilltop area in Franklinton, kind of a split there, just a few miles out of downtown Columbus. What I want to feature today is Memory Lane Records. And we're going to talk to the owner, meet the owner, take a look inside the shop here. But this isn't your typical record stores across America. I kind of want to talk a little bit about the local area in regards to where Memory Lane is at, just kind of make some comments. I grew up a little bit further west, but growing up I had friends that lived out this way in the Hilltop area, and I would ride my bike all the way down West Broad Street and hit my favorite record stores, hit my favorite mall. You know, Westfield Mall was thriving, and also be able to go to a comic book store and hang out in the neighborhoods with my friends and play tag football and run around outside riding bikes or walking around the neighborhood causing trouble. So had a lot of fun down here and have a lot of memories. This area was, a lot of these areas around here surrounding Columbus, like most typical cities, built post-World War II in the mid to late 40s and thrived in the 50s, 60s, and then in the 70s started to see a little bit of a decline where people were growing up, going to college, getting better jobs, and we're starting to kind of move away into the suburbs, or they move up north into Dublin and Westerville and the more wealthier areas. And meanwhile, the area here kind of dried up, especially in the 90s, and then you talk about the recession in the 2000s, so this whole area just really declined.
Everything you see is broken, and nothing seems it's going right. Don't let your heart start to bend. Don't give up the fight. You cannot live by what you see.
I don't know, I guess a lot of people want to quickly say it's due to the Section 8 housing or lack of the residents' responsibility. Yeah, there's some areas that are Section 8, and I'm sure there's some instances of that. But the larger problem are bad landlords who refuse to invest in their rental properties, and one bad house can spoil the whole block. You know, really these areas just haven't had enough support from the city. Our previous mayor made a lot of promises that did not get followed through on, and the current mayor is going to have to do a lot better than offer more promises. I'm not a local historian, I don't have all the answers, but in my opinion, what we allow, we condone. If our goal is improvement and revitalization, we have to offer better employment opportunities, continue to maintain police presence, don't cut back overtime or cut back staffing on the Columbus Police Department, while at the same time the communities have to hold each other accountable to a higher standard. We have to find creative ways, sports or libraries or getting outside to the local park, healthy hobbies. We have to motivate the youth and the teenagers to work hard, and the adults need to lead by example. It's as simple as that. There's just way too many shootings. There's just no point in it. The senseless violence has to stop. So let's pull in here to Memory Lane Records and see what's up with Al. Maybe he'll have a few minutes to talk to me.
Well, this is Memory Lane Record Store, also known as the world's biggest record flea market. My name's Al Sheppard, and had the store here for, it's a hobby of mine, but I've had it probably for 20 years now, off and on. Nipper's getting a little bedraggled. He's been there for a long time, but nevertheless, the RCA Victor dog, of course, little Nipper. But you'll find country records, you'll find Broadway and television soundtracks, you'll find classical records, you'll find more classical records, you'll find country records, you'll find local records, maybe a few of them behind the camera, you'll find 45s, you'll find stuff that is not sorted practically everywhere. You'll find rock and pop alphabetized, you'll find jazz in the back room, you'll find a huge bargain bin in the back room, if you don't mind the dust and the dirt, but albums for $1 a piece. I was gifted with 2 huge stashes of 78s, and I would be willing to give some of them away to a good home, actually. because there's, I mean, if anyone's looking for a pile this high of Bing Crosby records, let me know. You can have them. The Hilltop is trying its best to undergo a revival. Last Saturday, I was informed that the mayor was doing a short tour, and I had to be on my best behavior in case he stuck his head in. He didn't. So, but he was out here anyways because a friend of mine let me know that, but he didn't show. But at least he was in the Hilltop to get aware of, and also the B.R.E.A.D organization, B.R.E.A.D organization, is pushing for additional help in the Franklinton area, in the Hilltop area, and in Linden. But the council member, the city council, no, it was for the mayor. I'm sorry, the mayor failed to show up at the B.R.E.A.D meeting a week or two ago. So the issue was not asked of him, even though he knew it was going to be, but he didn't show up. So the B.R.E.A.D was rather disappointed. 3,500 people were disappointed that he couldn't be bothered to attend. It's grassroots politics. Well, I'm an old guy, so I collect old records. Rhythm and blues from the 50s, rockabilly certainly. Even my tastes run to everything. So I've got classical at home. I've got not too much rockabilly. That's very hard to find. And R&B, artists like Joe Turner, Chuck Berry, they're hard to find too these days. But I've been collecting them for many years, so I do have a few at home. But and there's so many that I don't know. You can't tell what a record is until you actually play it.
That's right.
You know, they all look the same. You know, they're all a little record with a big hole in them. They all look the same, except for red ones and purple ones. Record collecting is a lot of fun because the search is lots of times more fun than actually finding it and then owning it. But finding it is that thrill. And this lady had six rows of filing cabinets stuffed full of 45s. I couldn't even begin to estimate. There must have been 10,000 of them easily. And a lot of them were not very good, but obviously there were some that were very good. A nice copy of Bobby Dylan's Subterranean Homesick Blues, sample copy on red vinyl,
Okay.
a couple of $100. And all of these records are mint. The condition is terribly important. If it's scratched up, it's worth probably not even 10% of the given catalog price for it. So this probably was the second Beatle record to get released here in America. This is a record I had never seen or heard of until this
Beatles
last
on
week.
Atco, huh?
Yeah, and you can't even tell who's singing. You can't even tell who's singing. It might be Tony Sheridan on vocals because you don't recognize any other voice in there. It's musically not so good, but it is the Beatles with Tony Sheridan, and that's $175. But the best one of all that I found in there so far was this one right here, out of Cincinnati, 19, Ohio, on the Lucky label. It's both sides are rockabilly. They're just fantastic rockabilly. I wish I could play a little bit of it for you, but it's probably not copyrighted. But I don't want to sell it anyways. But it's could be as much as $2,000 for one. I couldn't believe it, but that's what the book says, and I've learned that most of the time the book is right. But this record is just great. It's a fantastic record, and I have no idea what else is in this pile because I have only gone through half of it so far. But these are the best of the best. Well, this is a record collector's dream, you know, to hit something like that, where who knows what you're going to turn up next? Who knows? And it's the only way to be. You know, it's like going to a dog show and winning the first prize, the grand national champion, the Blue Ribbon Dog. Well, Blue Ribbon Records too.
So that was Al. I mean, he's a little bit eccentric, but he's always fun to hang out with. And so thanks for coming along with the drive today. Really, I think there's light at the end of the tunnel for this area. Rebuilding, I think it was Rebuilding Together a few years ago, fixed up about 16 homes in a local park. They really knocked down some barriers and showed the immediate surrounding community that it's possible to rebuild. East Franklinton has already received some benefits of development incentives from the city, and there's some new businesses going in. Recently, our current mayor has promised over $30 million to improve the Hilltop alone. I recently saw in the news where local high school kids have an opportunity to rebuild, repair, and maintain homes. That one landlord is giving these kids this opportunity to do that with the hope of earning their way to rent the actual homes that they're working on in the near future. That way they won't let it get in bad shape. They have pride of ownership, pride that they live there, and they'll maintain it. A lot of good efforts like this are what gives me hope that this neighborhood can bounce back.
Don't